We have been talking about finding the area given a z-score. Now we're going to find a z-score given an area. We're still going to sketch the normal curve and shade. But here's the thing, we need to find the area to the left of the z-score. And then we're going to look it up in the middle, in the body of the table. That's going to be our hardest part. So the best thing to do is just start looking at examples here. So find the z-score with an area of 0.45 to the left. So that means we're going to start shading over here, and we want a 0.45. So that's less than half. So we've got an over here. So 0's here. So that means I'm going to have a negative value, okay? Because I want less than half of it. So I'm looking for a 0.45 in the center because this is 0.45. Not my z-score down here, but the area. So what happens is I start looking in this part for the 0.45. I'm not looking for 0.45 out here. I'm looking for it in here. So I start right here and I start following down until I get to like a 0.4. And so I'm going to keep following it down. And you'll notice here's a 0.2, 0.3. Okay, here's a 0.4, 0.42, and then here's a 0.46. So I'm going to kind of follow these two. And notice here I change from a 0.45 to a 0.44. So 0.45 is in between these two numbers. What I have to now do is figure out, is 0.4500 closer to this one, or is 0.4500 closer to this one? And what you can do is you can actually do some subtraction. But let's think about this. I just have to add like 17 points here. Here, I need to subtract 22 points to make it even. So 0.45 is actually closest to this number. You're looking for the one that it is closest to. Okay? And when you find that, you're going to find the z-score that it corresponds to. And the z-score that this one corresponds to is going to be a negative 0.1. And I'm going to follow this all the way up. And I'm probably just going to be easier to count. So let's see here. Here's a 0, 1, 2, 3. So a negative 0.13. So my z-score over here is a negative 0.13, which makes sense because it's not that far from 0. It is on the left side because it's less than half, but it's not very much less than half, so it shouldn't be very far from 0. Let's look at one where it's to the right. So we want to shade the area to the right. And so we're going to start over here. And we want only 0.37. So we definitely want less than 0. I'm sorry, less than half. Please excuse me. We want less than half. So we're wanting something over here. This area is a 0.37. Now, if you recall, our table only gives us to the left. So it's only going to give us this part, but I need to find this number. How can I find this area? Well, to find this area, I take 1 minus a 0.37. When I take a 1 minus 0.37, I get a 0.63. And I'm going to look up a 0.63 in the center, in the body of that table. So I'm going to look up a 0.63. So I'm going to come through here and find a 0.63, which would be between these two. And I need to find which one it's closest to. This one, 93, so that would be 7 points away. 31, that's 31 points away. So it's closest to this one. So that z-score would be a 0.33. And that's a positive 0.33 as my z-score. And it is on the positive side. Okay. Let's do one more. Or actually, let's go ahead and do the next two for right now. So we want an area that is of a 0.09, so that's a really small area, to the right. So we're like over here, and we're to the right. So here's 0. Okay, so over here is a 1 minus a 0.09. So 1 minus a 0.09, that's going to give me a 0.91 for in here. So that means I need to look up a 0.91 in this body. So I'm going to come down through here, 0.9. Here's where we start changing. 0.9. I need a 0.91. Here's where it changes from 90 to 91. And I look, this one's 15 away. This one's a 0.99, so that would only be 1 away. So it'd be this one. And that would be a 1.34. So that would be a z-score that's a positive 1.34. We want to find a z-score with an area of 0.74 to its left. So here's 0. And I start shading. Well, here is half, 0.5. And I want a little bit more. So my z-score is going to be over here somewhere. And I shade to the left. So since I'm shading to the left, I can just look up a 0.74 on here. And I'm going to erase all of this to get it out of my way. So I'm looking in here for a 0.74. So I'm coming down through here. And right here are my two numbers. And again, trying to figure out which one is it closest to. This one, 89 to 100 would be 11. This one is 22. So it's this one that it's closest to. And that would be a 0.64. So my z-score would be a positive 0.64. One of the harder ones to determine is probably the ones with the middle. When we're talking about the middle 66, or the middle 88, the middle 90, okay? When we're talking about the middle part, that means that we have the same amount left on the left and right. So we have a 0.66 in here. Okay, so out here on the edges, we're going to have this edge is going to equal this edge. Well, that's going to be 1 minus a 0.66, but then we have to divide that by 2 because we have 2 sides that it has to go in. So if we subtract 0.66 from 1, that's going to give us 1 minus 0.66, that's a 0.34, or 34%. We divide that by 2, and each one of these tails is going to have 0.17. So this right here is a 0.17. And since this is symmetric, this z-score will be negative, and this z-score will be positive, and they will be equal. Whenever you're doing a middle, your z-scores will be the exact same, except opposite signs. So let's go look up a 0.17. And that's going to be on the negative side. So 0.17 would be between these two. Whoop. So we've got one that's 11 points away, one that would be 15 points away. So it would be this one, a negative 0.9. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that'd be a negative 0.95. So our z-scores would be a negative 0.95 and a positive 0.95. So please go try some of these and then let me know as you have questions.